Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to Commissioners Court. We will begin as usual with an invocation followed by the pledges. Dear Lord, I come to you this morning and thank you for another day, another Commissioners Court, another Monday, a new week with many activities and endeavors in front of us. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to be here. Pray for your guidance and all the decisions we make, both today and in the week ahead. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Next item we have on our agenda is citizens communication. Anyone who would like to address the court on any county business that's not individually listed as a agenda item, you're welcome to do so. Morning, Mr. Posey.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners Court.
Morning.
We've had a very good run with our elections administrator, and she's really pulled us to a lot of cost-saving things and efficiencies. And I obviously not knocking the people that we've had before. God bless them. They did a great job. But she's really done a great job. And we had a polling place, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lucas, over there at Trinity Christian Lutheran. And we had another polling place like less than a mile away. Well, a couple of years ago, because we only had 11 people voting at that, consistently 11 people voting at that location, we've eliminated that site because we had so few people, and it costs a considerable amount of money to have that polling location. So I'm glad that we're being more efficient, and if it's a close proximity to another location and we hardly get any people there, we really like that. So that's all I have.
Well,
Judge.
thank you, Bill, and I hope you're able to stick around. We do have a discussion
Yes, sir.
item about these polling locations here, item number 12.
Very good.
So, yes,
Thank you,
appreciate
Judge.
your comments, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments in citizens communication? Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm Michael Vondra. I live at 2107 North Bend, Jordan. We've been having problems with plumbing leaks at Summerstone Apartments, and for some reason, they just can't get fixed, you know. Saturday, there was a plumbing leak, and the plumbers did come and fix it, and Monday, right now, there's a leak right by the laundromat there, and it's a continuous water leak. And I would like management to take care of it. The problem with reporting it to management, you know, if they don't want to fix it, and maybe you say or do the inappropriate thing, they can put a criminal trespass warning and trespass you from your own apartment where you live. So I think it's better to have the county government and local government help. Last time, code enforcement with Public Works worked together to get the alleged sewer leak in the apartment. And, you know, that's not a good way to attract tenants, you know, have an alleged sewer leak all over the place. And I don't know why they can't fix these leaks, but it's just getting worse and worse. And people are dumping stoves. There's 2 stoves. There's a refrigerator. And it's against the law to have an abandoned refrigerator. The 1956 Refrigerator Act made it illegal. And what would happen was kids would play hide and go seek, and they'd get stuck in the refrigerators and they would die. So they made it a federal law where you have to make it to where they can't get stuck inside and stuff. But it is illegal to have abandoned refrigerators, you know, at apartment complexes and stuff like that. And you can be criminally charged if someone's playing hide and go seek and they get stuck in that refrigerator and die. It could be manslaughter charges, but management seems to have no interest in taking care of these abandoned refrigerators, abandoned stoves. They're dumping toilets by the dumpster. They got mattresses underneath the dumpsters and stuff. It makes it hard for waste management to do their job. We have dumpster divers that go into the dumpsters and get valuables that they think is valuable and then trash it out. And, you know, management is doing a very poor job at taking care of it. And I would like to see them do a better job. And I would like that plumbing leak fixed today. As I'm speaking now, there's water flowing all over the place. And I would like to do them, I'd like to do them to do a better job. I've had 2 locked bicycles that was stolen. You know, I guess they cut it with lock cutters. And, you know, they say they have 24-hour security. I've never seen anybody do any security, and they have squatters there. The police ran them off, and they were living in abandoned apartments illegally. And I would like to see management do a better job. In my opinion, they've been doing a very poor job at the apartment, and I would like them to take care of that water leak today. It's right by the laundromat. Thanks, and have a good day.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Von Rule.
Other comments in citizens' communication this morning? Good morning. If you just give us your name for the record, please, you have up to 5 minutes.
Good morning, yes.
Good morning.
I am Rebecca Bootson, 405 Londonderry Drive, Victoria. And I was just going to address the polling place issue. I don't know if this is the correct time or if I should wait until.
We will be
Later.
on that as a discussion topic on item number 12, so if you're able to stick around for
Yeah.
that, we can certainly
Sure.
give you the chance then.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments this morning that aren't individually listed as agenda items?
This gentleman back here.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Come on up.
Give us your name, please, and
Been a taxpayer here in Victoria County since 1976. This is only the second time in all those years that I've been before this Commissioner's Court. And the first time was over bringing to the court, or to the board here, that I in no way thought it was right that the commissioners vote themselves raises. I thought it was really, to be honest with you, just almost immoral. But be that as it may, I would like to speak on the budget proposal. To me, there's only, Mr. Martin, I want to give you credit for speaking out and talking about maybe living within a budget, doing what's necessary to live within that budget, and that being without taxpayers once again shouldering the load. I read through the county website, and it listed all the proposals and all the good things that was going to happen. But what it did fail to mention is this so-called balanced budget is money that's pulled out of a rainy day fund, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that is taxpayer money that taxpayers have already paid for. And then the second way to balance this budget is to raise taxes on the taxpayer. And that's the bottom line. You can spend it whichever way you want to spend it. But the bottom line is nobody wants to make the real serious hard cuts that are necessary to do it without raising taxes. There's no excuse for it. We just went through a VISD tax increase for this $250 million wish list. And it doesn't matter how it's termed, this is just another tax increase. And honestly, at some point, the taxpayers cannot shoulder any more of this burden. When you've got the CAD district and everybody else raising values every single year, every time that Austin tries to give us a little bit of a break, lo and behold, CAD district and the appraisal districts raise your appraisals to eat up that additional homestead exemption that you got. Isn't that amazing? And it happens every time Austin tries to vote and give us some kind of relief. And now on top of that, for you all to even consider raising taxes on Victoria County residents or anybody else is just, excuse me, I don't have a word for it. But you know what? This the raises to everybody. Let me educate you that the last Social Security raise that recipients like myself got was a little over 2%. That's after working and paying in for 55 years. I invested in that, and we only get 2%, a little over 2%. Y'all have already given 10%, 5%, and now you want to give another 2%, all in the name of retention and all of that. Well, I have an opinion on that, but I won't voice it here before the board, because in my mind, if that's not good enough, well then maybe you ought to be employed elsewhere. The other main contention I have, and the article that I read, was that the insurance rates have increased so dramatically. Well, I would propose that you do like taxpayers do. You shop around. You try and get a better price. And instead of like taxpayers, where we have to cut what we spend, we don't have it, we can't get it, we have to cut. That's certainly not the case here. Just raise taxes. Easy. And if you cannot shop around and get a better price on insurance, then maybe you need to make a cut somewhere rather than just laying it and shouldering it once again on the taxpayer's shoulders. You know, at some point, those shoulders are going to fall down. And you all need to consider that before this vote coming up next month, because there's only so much taxpayers can stand. And after this last fiasco with property taxes, this is just adding fuel to the fire. I appreciate each one of you. I hope that you will consider the taxpayers on any of this budget, on this budget mess, because it's the taxpayers that support everything in Victoria County. And it almost appears like you all have completely forgot that. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shockley. Other comments this morning in citizens' communication? Good morning, Mr. King.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? It's kind of funny that gentleman said that. That's a little bit of what I was coming here to talk about today. One thing about government is a business, right? You have overhead, you have people that make your money. And I also understand as a business owner, I understand insurance cost goes up, and I also understand you only can look around so much. But also get food cost goes up, fuel cost goes up, housing, electricity bill, and on and on and on. There's only two ways that I know of that local government can get funds to pay for things. Like this lady over here, our sheriff's department, police department, fire department, and so on. We either have to raise taxes or raise the economic impact. This past week, I travel all across the state, and I've said this before. I go everywhere from Midland to Dallas to Austin, you name it. I know every project that is going on, and pretty much have eyes and ears in every one of them. I heard something this last week, and I do deal with different economic development groups. I go to meetings with business leaders and politicians at the state and federal level, but I was in one particular group last week in Jefferson County, and I heard something that made me stop reading an important email and actually listen. And I got up out of the meeting, and it actually came from a county commissioner in Jefferson County, what he said, and I've never heard this before. We talk about abatements when we talk about, if it's a nuclear power plant, a hospital, whatever. We always talk about abatements, and you see it in the news all the time on social media. They talk about, well, we're going to give this company a tax exemption for 5 years or 10 years or whatever. That's what everybody talks about or complains about or has issues. But that county commissioner mentioned something that I've never heard. He mentioned that in an abatement that was approved by Jefferson County, that any business, that regardless of, there was a dollar amount on it, I forgot the particular dollar amount, I want to say it was 5 million and up, that if you are wanting to build a plant, say for instance, or a hospital, that if you have, when you go out and you put out bids for work, big packages, regardless if it's new construction, once it's up, even once it's done running, you still have to maintain it. I know we have some projects we're talking about with Blue Energy, right? But once you get it up and running, regardless if it's new construction or pre-existing construction, that if you are a local contractor, it is in their abatement, if you are a local contractor and you are within 5% of the winning bid that is over $40,000, it must go to the local contractor. I've never heard that. I don't know if anybody here has ever heard that. I've never heard that. I travel all over, and I said, man, are you serious? I never thought about that. That was their rule. I know that's been challenged by one of the largest contractors, Betchel, in the state, and it failed. They're going to charge it, probably going to keep going with it. They don't like that. The big guy doesn't like that. But for the small guy, we have a lot of lumber mills. We have a lot of plants here. We are blue-collar county. That is another way that we can guarantee that we hold these businesses that come into our county accountable. Not just pay taxes or put economic dollars back into our community, but have that in writing. You do have the legal authority to do that. You can set an amount on that. And I'm not saying Joe Smoke comes in here in Victoria and puts up leases a building and says, I'm a local contractor and it doesn't, no. You have to qualify for it, but you can say that if they get $40,000 or $50,000 project or over, if it hits that dollar amount, and if that local contractor is within 5% of that winning bid, because unfortunately, a lot of times those big companies come in here. We've all talked about it. You've heard people complain, all these big guys are going to come in here. You can make that and say that if it's within 5% or whatever you want to come up with, I think 5% was a pretty good number of that winning bid, and if that winning bid was going to an outside contractor, if they're local, it has to go to that local contractor. That to me was probably one of the biggest things I've ever heard. Like I said, I've never heard that. That's a good way we can put dollars back in here. That's the good way we can keep the businesses going, keep the jobs here. That way you guys aren't so much hot water for wanting increased property tax, right? Because we have new revenue coming in. So I just want to throw that out there. Maybe just might want to think about that and dig into that a little bit. Like I said, it's something I've never heard. I was very glad to hear it, and I looked at some of the local businesses, how they're doing. I looked at the county commission, Jefferson County, how their tax revenue's doing, and they're on the plus. That was one thing I did see. They're on the plus. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other comments this morning for citizens' communication?
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Everyone's doing well. My name is Joseph Napolitano. I live here in Victoria on Goodwin Avenue. And I wrote a little something for today. What is happening in Texas? An iconic and sacred park is being bulldozed. Texans are being arrested for speaking their minds at commissioners' court meetings. In both rural and urban areas, Democrats, Republicans, and independents are joining forces to stop 24/7 surveillance of our movements. And there is an open rebellion against the unprecedented use of our land, water, and electricity to build hyperscale AI data centers. And here we are in Victoria discussing a proposed $6 billion tax abatement for Blue Energy, whose sole purpose is to provide power for a $60 billion hyperscale AI data center in Calhoun County. Obviously, I'm here to voice my opposition to the proposed abatement, as I've done before and as I will continue to do. I'm also a member of Concerned Citizens for Responsible Development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Other comments for citizens' communication? Good morning, Mr. Bauer. Come on up.
Morning, guys. Yeah, on behalf of Congressman Cloud, I did, last week I came in here and just gave y'all a little bit of a tidbit, some information on an event we have coming up. It's this Wednesday. I just wanted to make sure the community knew about it and is definitely invited to it. We're doing a New World Screwworm expert panel and updates with the congressman. We have, really, it's going to be great. It's Wednesday night from 6 to 8 o'clock. August 19th at the Victoria College Emerging Technology Complex. As far as the VIPs we have coming in, it's really exciting because we have the Undersecretary of the Department of Agriculture directly under Brooke Rollins, who's the secretary. He's going to fly down and be with us. His name's Dudley Hoskins. And we also have a great panel from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, Texas Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association, Texas Farm Bureau, Texas Animal Health Commission, and then we're even going to have booths set up like with Texas AgriLife, with A&M, and some other great booths for the community. So it's really going to be a very great event. It's free. You can come and register there, or you can register online. I do have some flyers I'll kind of pass around again today, but I also, that's coming up this Wednesday, but I also wanted to kind of share something also that took place over this past couple weeks, is we have the Freedom 250 Mobile Museum. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's these, we call them Freedom Trucks. It's part of the emphasis on America's 250th birthday. And so it's kind of exciting that there's only 6 of these trucks that are going around all over the nation, and we were able to procure one of those for Victoria, Texas, and our citizens and surrounding communities. So we're excited to announce that they're going to be here September the 1st through the 4th, and it'll be open to the public from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And so the county's been gracious enough to help us with that endeavor. We're going to be set up on the Patty Dobson parking lot and kind of work with other things that are going on during the week. But that's going to give us high visibility for the communities they drive through. What is that? But it's a great interactive museum that's free to the public. It's great. I went through it up in D.C. During July 4th, and it's very interactive, very educational for our kids and for our families to bring, just to go there and just enjoy it. And they have the Constitution. You can sign your name on it, and and all this type of stuff. It's really a neat thing, and it's kind of a little bit of a treasure, and it's going to be a great thing for Victoria County. So I hope that we'll spread the word a little bit more. I'll be releasing media to you guys this week, and we can kind of get the word out and get our kids there and our families. So appreciate it. Again, that's September 2nd through the 4th. That sound good?
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, and certainly appreciate the great work that the congressman continues to do on our behalf in Washington. Other comments this morning for citizens communication?
Adrian.
Adrian, what have we got?
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I just have an update on the solicitation that was published and put out to bid on August 9th and the 16th, because it says on there that there will be a pre-proposal meeting tomorrow, and that is going to be revised or changed. Now the pre-proposal meeting will be on Tuesday, August 25th, still at the same time and at the same location, so at 2 p.m. and at the Engineering and Development office.
Okay.
So that's just the only update I wanted, because I don't want anybody to show up tomorrow. It's not going to happen.
And that's on 311 Constitution,
That is correct.
second floor.
Stick a note on the door.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was it. I just wanted to make sure all the contractors and everything know, do not show up tomorrow. It is rescheduled for the 25th.
Excellent. Thank you,
All right,
Adrian.
thank
Thank you, Adrian.
Other comments for citizens communication? All right, well, if there are none, we will move right along in our agenda. Item number 4 is to consider approval of minutes and take appropriate action. Each of you have a copy of those minutes in front of you.
Move to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 5, consider approval of accounts payable and take appropriate action.
Accounts payable for August 17th, 2026 are $697,567.54. Supplemental payments are $261,793.78.
Move for approval. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Michelle. Number 6 is to receive monthly and quarterly reports from various county officials and departments and take appropriate action.
Good morning. Today we have monthly reports from the district clerk, criminal district attorney, tax assessor collector, and justices of peace precincts numbers 1 and 3.
Move to receive. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any oh, sorry. Any opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
Oh, what'd you ask me?
You can be opposed.
I was reading, I'm sorry. I'm eyeing
I
for,
cut off
my
the
bad.
chance for opposite too early.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
heard
too
everybody
preoccupied.
in favor, and the record will
I am in,
reflect it.
the record reflects aye, I'm for it.
Okay.
Sorry,
So the motion is approved unanimously.
apologize.
Item 7 is to consider approval of bond forfeiture releases and take appropriate action.
We have none this morning.
Very good, thanks Heidi. Number 8 on our agenda is to consider approval of Citizens Medical Center interim vendor payments and take appropriate action. We have the August 13th memo from our hospital showing interim vendor payments in the amount of $210,294.99, and the ACH report on that same date totaled $2,434,179.41.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Our next item is to hear a proclamation in commemoration of Hurricane Remembrance Week and take appropriate action. This is also a timely reminder that we are entering the peak of hurricane season. Not anything anyone wants to think about as school's back in session and we anticipate hopefully cooler temperatures. But in this proclamation, there's a lot of historical factoids. So those who put this together, Chris, Jeff, you may have played a part. Thank you so much. We do have a lot of history here in Victoria, and this proclamation speaks to some of it. It reads, whereas hurricane seasons in the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea along the Gulf Coast officially begins each year on June 1st and ends on November 30th. And whereas the peak of hurricane season for the Caribbean Sea, the Western Gulf, and the Texas coast traditionally stretches from mid-August through late September. And whereas August 20th, this week, marks the 140th anniversary of the Great Indianola Hurricane, one of the largest and strongest hurricanes to strike Texas since weather records have been kept. And whereas Indianola was a prosperous port and the county seat of Calhoun County, and known as the gateway to Texas, where waves of immigrants from Germany arrived. And whereas due mainly to thousands of Germans entering Texas through the immigration port of entry at Indianola, the population of Victoria by the mid-1850s was at least half German. And whereas the destruction of Indianola by the 1886 hurricane had a profound effect on Victoria, as many skilled business people and tradesmen moved here from Indianola. And whereas visible reminders of that 1886 storm are still with us nearby, including the Huck House on Convent Street and the Reagan House right next door to it, both of which were disassembled in Indianola after the hurricane, the boards and parts numbered, then reassembled here in Victoria. And whereas Hurricane Camille, one of the most powerful hurricanes of the very active hurricane seasons of the 1960s, which spawned hurricanes like Carla, made landfall on August 18th, 1969, with sustained winds of over 175 miles per hour. And following Hurricane Camille's devastation, including nearly 350 fatalities, it was said for years that Camille was no lady. And whereas Hurricane Harvey on August 24th, 2017, underwent rapid intensification just off the Texas coast, shortly before making landfall near Port Aransas as a Category 4 hurricane. And whereas depending upon the measurements used, Hurricane Harvey is the most or second most costly hurricane to strike the United States since weather records have been kept. And whereas, along with cutting a terrible swath of destruction through our area, Hurricane Harvey set new rainfall records for a hurricane as it meandered along the southeast Texas coast. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Victoria County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim August 17th through 24th, 2026 as Hurricane Remembrance Week in Victoria County, Texas, and we urge all our residents to respect the seriousness of hurricane season and ensure they have a plan in place should a storm like one of these arrive again.
Judge, I can say in helping prepare this proclamation that Jeff Wright has probably forgotten more about Indianola than most of us will ever know. And Jeff, if you have some words to share with us.
Come on up. Tell the tale of Indianola. Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Commissioners. I'll keep it brief because I know we've got a lot more stuff on the agenda. But, people remember Indianola for its end mainly. You remember it as it was kind of wiped off the map with 2 major hurricanes within an 11-year span. But I think it's more so about the story of perseverance and how it started terribly and people were dying in droves for various reasons, and the people there really, as I say, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, created a life for themselves, really made a go of it, and turned this shelly, sandy beach into the second largest port in Texas, which for a time rivaled Galveston as the main port in Texas. And Indianola became known later on as the mother of Western Texas because it was kind of the entry point, the closest way to get to the mines in Chihuahua, Mexico, and it connected all these other westward areas, San Antonio, Austin, and then further out west all the way to California. Indianola was where you would come in to do that, but it all started out with basically nothing there. The people showed up with no supplies, no shelter, no nothing, and within a matter of a few years had set it up as this pretty amazing port city nearby that was, Victoria's kind of outlet to the sea for many years, and, did its thing for a few decades until, Mother Nature put an end to it. But it was a big deal for a long time, and I think it needs more remembrance for what it was, not how it ended. So I'll keep it there unless somebody has, specific questions, because like Chris said, I could keep going, but I don't want to keep you all here all day getting into the weeds on it. So if nobody had anything else, any burning questions they wanted to know, I'll leave it at that and just say I
Jeff,
appreciate speaking.
is it true that at certain times you're able to see parts of what was there as what the township was or the city was?
So in particular, I know there's still kind of the ghost outline if you catch it at the right time of day of the old courthouse, which was, I think, only like a block inland. And so there's still some stone footings of that original courthouse because, as it said in the proclamation, it was, I think in 1852, it became the county seat of Calhoun County. So you can, if you're on the right part of the beach, look down and see kind of the shadow of the foundation there. And I should also mention that whole area of what where Indianola and what became Calhoun County was pretty much all part of Victoria County up until 1848 when it was cut off. But Indianola, when it was founded, was part of Victoria County. And then, boundaries changed and whatnot, and then it became the county seat. So did that answer your question well enough? Okay.
Fascinating. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you,
much.
Jeff.
For those who don't know Jeff, Jeff's the county's heritage director. Those who haven't met him are tuning in online, and we certainly do have a lot of history here to showcase and to preserve, and we appreciate your work helping do that, Jeff.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right, did we vote on approving that proclamation?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 10, that will be on a future agenda, not this morning, that presentation. Moving to item number 11, that is to consider approval of order number 2026-083, ordering the November 3rd, 2026 general election and take appropriate action. Karen, do you have anything to say regarding this? I know this is I know everybody here is aware that conducting elections is one of the county's dozens and dozens of core responsibilities, and not just for county offices. We run the elections for everything from the local level all the way up to federal offices, and we'll be doing that again here in just a couple months.
Yes, sir. Last week, the governor signed the proclamation declaring the election to be set for November 3rd, and now we just have to do it at the county level.
Very good. And this is part of our process that we do every election cycle, the ordering of the election, and that is in front of the court for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 12 is to discuss and consider precinct polling locations for the November 3rd, 2026 general election and take appropriate action. I know there are several folks here wishing to speak to this item, and everybody will have the opportunity to do so.
Should have my glasses on.
I'll preface this a bit. Oh, let me preface this a bit by saying that the polling locations are established by Commissioners Court. And it's a routine occurrence to look at the turnout, the number of locations, also over time, the availability of certain locations changes. But one of the distinct efforts in this election cycle was looking at not only how all the polling locations are utilized, what kind of foot traffic they get, but also looking at the polling locations that exists in our public schools. Schools make a wonderful voting locations. Everybody knows where they are. ADA accessible, plenty of parking, wonderful polling locations. But at the same time, in recent years, there's been a heightened awareness and attention on school safety, school security. The discussion being, do you really want opened access to the public in and out of schools when school kids are there? So I know in one of the interview questions when our Elections Commission was interviewing new elections administrators that I asked, and Karen obviously was hired for the role, is her take on how to approach that, the critical and maybe somewhat conflicting efforts of ease of voter access along with school security. How do we handle that? Come up with a proposal on what you think. So that is what in many regards led to what's in front of us, an ongoing discussion. We don't plan to take any action this morning. It's on the 24th, next Monday, that we plan to formally vote on this. But given the public interest that this always generates, I wanted to make sure this was in front of everybody a week in advance to hear input and feedback from the public and for the court to be able to mull over this and to just make a well-informed decision. So again, this will not be adopted today, as we anticipate the formal vote will be next week. But with that said, Karen, Jared, welcome. You have the floor.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much. I just want to start out by thanking Judge Zeller for sitting down with me and Chris walking through all of this before we came to y'all today. I've met with both chairs of the Democratic and Republican Party. I've met with the public. I've met with the VISD superintendent. I've met with a lot of people, visited a lot of places, and driven a lot of streets in this county to come up with this proposal. The first thing I did was I went to the Texas Election Code, and I found that we are currently out of compliance with Texas Election Code. So the first matter I would like to address is the number of polling locations. Texas Election Code requires that the Commissioner's precinct with the least number of polling places, that there be no more than double that amount. Currently, the least number of polling places are in Precinct 3 with 4 polling locations, which means we can have no more than 8 in any other Commissioner's precinct. Currently, Commissioner Precinct 4 has 9 polling locations. Looking at the schools and the turnouts and what is on the bond to be occurring at the schools in the future, we felt that Precinct 19 Smith Elementary would be the location to close for November. We have included in your packet a list of the next 4 closest polling locations, which would, of course, be posted at that location. Our Savior's Lutheran Church is 0.7 miles away. The Fine Arts Center Annex is 0.8 miles away. One of our new proposed polling locations would be 1.5 miles away, and Victoria College Sports Center is 1.5 miles away from that location. So those are some close locations for people to take advantage of should we close Precinct 19 Smith Elementary. And that brings us to our next closure, which is in Precinct 3, and that is Shields Elementary, and that polling location is no longer available. We have, however, worked with the Texas A&M, and they are offering us the Small Business Development Center on Airline. Y'all may know it as the old mall. That is 0.8 miles away from Shields, and that would be the new polling location for that precinct, keeping that number at 4 polling centers in Precinct 3. And that would be the significant changes for November. Beyond that, my recommendation is to leave all of the other polling locations in place for November, so that as the public comes in to vote in November, that they're given information about changes that would take place for the May 2027 election and going forward. Starting with Commissioner Precinct 1, looking at closing Hopkins, Patty Welder, and O'Connor, and moving the Hopkins to the American Legion, that is only 0.4 miles away. Closing Patty Welder Gym and going across the street to the old Kids Connection. From driveway to driveway is 0.4 miles. And then Precinct 7, closing the O'Connor Elementary, which will be closed at some point because of the bond issue, and going ahead and moving that over to Precinct 32, which is only 0.5 miles away, to the VFW. And we have talked to all of these locations, and they have agreed to host us as a polling location. Moving over to Precinct 2, Precinct 23. Currently, we're using the Precinct 2 Service Center, and while we do appreciate the commissioner letting us use that location, it can be a struggle sometimes, you know, people going in and out, and the voters trying to navigate that. And Nursery Volunteer Fire Department is 0.7 miles down the road. They don't have the traffic and the in and out, and it is a great location, and they're happy to have us down there. And then looking in, again, in Precinct 3, Allo Elementary, looking at moving that down to the Quell Creek Fire Department. That is 1.0 miles away from driveway to driveway. There again, ADA accessible, good, quiet location, and they're happy to have us. And no changes in Precinct 4 besides that closure in November. That leaves us with Commissioner Precinct 1-6, Commissioner Precinct 2-6, Commissioner Precinct 3-4, and Commissioner Precinct 4, 8 places, 8 polling locations. So, of course, none of this includes Patty Dotson. Patty Dotson is the main polling location that would remain.
Okay, so it seems to me at the most basic level, what has to be addressed is the disparity of current locations between 3 and 4.
Correct.
So we need to go into that within the bounds of what the law says on that. But then additionally, the goal is to strongly look at the schools that are used, and I think that certainly if the goal is to reduce that number, that we would start with the ones that get very low utilization.
Correct, and the ones that are going to be directly affected by the bond.
Okay, but you say that this is somewhat of a slow rollout because of the, let's see, the total number of school locations that are going to be phased out, or what? That's
1, 2, 3,
5 or 6?
4, 5, 6.
Okay, 6 over time, but the
Well,
ones.
one immediately, 5 over time.
One immediately, and then 5 over time. But for the November election,
I'm sorry, Shields is closed, period.
Right.
That is not available to us. but we do have an alternate location. And then Smith is the one that we need to close to come into compliance.
Okay, okay. Okay, so if this is adopted, as far as the number of locations, it looks like it would be a decline of 1.
Correct. We would go from 25 polling locations plus Patty Dotson down to 24 plus Patty Dotson.
Okay. And the most heavily utilized schools would remain polling locations?
Correct.
that being-
Vickers, Roland, and De Leon.
Okay. Okay.
So the first page is just so you can see, commissioners, what is in your precinct, what we have by the numbers. And then the second page is what would happen in November, where those polling locations would be. And then the second line would be in going forward, starting in May, where all of those polling locations would be.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question, Karen. Looking at this legend for the proposed new vote center, specifically talking about precinct 3, it looks like, trying to dial into this, even with the cheaters, that looks like 18 down there in that far southern part of precinct 3, that US Highway 77 South area. I have had numerous constituents voice concerns after McFadden location was closed down, and then I believe on Kemper City Road, that one was shut down. And the voters in that area, they have to drive very long distances to go to polling locations. So I wanted to hear your thoughts about that, and looking at the possibility of getting something back in that far southern part of the county for precinct 3 and those voters out there.
We actually have looked in your area. We have looked at adding a location because we know that there is really not a lot out there. And Mr. Lucas and I both we've been on the maps, we've been driving the roads, and we just have not found a suitable location in that area. Would you like to comment?
No, I'd like to entertain the chance just to sit down and visit with y'all and maybe offer some suggestions. on that.
Absolutely, and I'm open to that conversation.
I mean, is there possibly somebody's home over in that area?
I will say that the Secretary of State has moved away from utilizing houses.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Although it is an option, that is not something that they like to do.
Understood. And I know you did your due diligence on all this, and I appreciate it. The only question I have, I understand the issues that the polling locations bring to the schools with the security and the things that go on these days. But to me, that's almost kind of like all or none. It's like we're going to move it from some, but we're going to keep them open at some others. So that's a little bit concerning. Is there any consideration ever been given in working with the district on that specific day of voting to say, hey, maybe that's a teacher workshop day, and just not having the students there on the day that the voting takes place, or something like that, to minimize the safety risk or impact to students?
That would be my preference too, Commissioner. If we're going to remain at schools, I do have a concern allowing just everybody to walk on campus any day of the week, especially with what's going on in the world and the public schools, or schools in general. That what the commissioner has proposed, if you guys could work with VISD or any of the schools in our county to make that a teacher work day where the students aren't there.
Okay, I will be happy to talk with the superintendent about that further. I do know that their calendars are set a year or two in advance, so.
Yeah, and that is a sound idea. One of the challenges in trying to implement it is that it's more than just the November general election. You have a March primary, you have, if there's a primary runoff, you have the May school election, any special elections that arise, plus the November election, which multiple days like that really can throw off the predetermined ISD calendar. Although certainly that would work, that would be best. Another option that I had thrown out is those schools that do remain, we could, in addition to whatever SRO presence may be there, hire a sheriff's deputy or assign a sheriff's deputy to be there from open till close.
Correct.
Just as an additional layer of security for those schools. In the big scheme of things, I think that would be at minimal cost, so I think that would be an option as well.
Yeah, and going forward, if, you know, we've been looking at different locations for Vickers and Roland. We just have not found an acceptable substitute for those locations. And De Leon is either, it's going to be either a close it or keep it open situation. There's nowhere else in that precinct for that location to go.
And with that, I think there's two things that are aligning to strongly support this idea. Number one, these three, they are schools. Well, let me rephrase that. Even outside of school locations, these are the most heavily utilized regardless of venue. Vickers, Roland, and De Leon are some of the most heavily used across the board polling locations. So again, if the effort is to phase that out, I think it does make sense to start with the ones that are very minimally used, especially given that with some of these high utilized schools, there appears to be no better option. Of course, this is subject to the direction of the court. I do want to hear from everyone who wanted to speak to this issue. And I know, Karen, you're going to have these on our website and also available in the office.
Yes, sir. After this whole packet will be available on our website and in our office. We have large maps available in our office for the public to come and view those maps. We'll have, if they would like to have copies of that to take with them, they're happy to have that. And then any comments they would like to record, we'll capture those and share that with the commissioners.
Karen, one of the things that was brought to my attention is the voting at the schools, which I'm quite frankly not favorable to, but would agree to if it meant that people had the opportunity to vote, and if they're moved, they won't have that opportunity. I get all that, but if our goal is to get more people to vote, why aren't we putting them at HEB? You have to go buy groceries.
Well, they have to agree to let us be there,
Have we
and they
talked to
they will not.
They won't.
Political thing.
No, sir.
My thoughts on this is that I think that it's the thing about the schools is I believe it's a great educational tool for the children, you know, to learn about our Constitution, learn about, you know, our rights as Americans to vote, that I think so many people forget. And, you know, it seems like a lot of times that the school curriculum could be centered around on Election Day about educating the children about what's going on at the school. I'm 100% for children's safety, and I am, but I'm also for what seems like educating a losing situation that is with people voting. I mean, you look in Victoria County, what votes every election.
Yes.
I still have a lot to read over this and a lot to digest, but from what I understand, the polling area is separate. There's no access to the school. I'm not in all the other industry, and I'm not saying all of them. But I like the fact of security, but I like the fact of educating our youth and them learning about what the elections are and what the voting process is and what their rights are when they get older.
Yes, sir. I understand. And do you want to speak about the access at these three locations, please?
You can speak. It's all right.
You can speak. You can speak.
Jared,
To Vickers, Roland, and De Leon, where are they at in location to the children?
Jared, before we move on, let me, a few more comments about the precinct 1 locations. Moving out of the schools and using the numbers that you used to decide which ones you were going to close, because you're saying they're lower numbers, but they're lower numbers because the population there, that's probably a high number for that population, for the folks that live in that area. You can't compare, say, a Patty Welder to a De Leon. That population over there is,
Right. And we also had to look at where we can go within that precinct, what is available.
I do like the locations that you're using to substitute those for. The American Legion, but I'm not sure about the VISD Old Kids Connection. I'm not sure where that is.
It's just right across the street.
Right
across the street from the gym, essentially.
I think it's where VISD's old credit union used to be years and years ago.
Oh, I know what that's. Yeah. I know
It's
exactly.
on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no children at that location. The superintendent recommended that location as an alternative.
Okay.
Okay.
But as for the locations that would remain with Vickers and Roland and Deleon, Deleon's polling location is just inside the double doors in the library. Usually on election day, they don't have any students that go into the library, so the rest of the school's kind of separated from them, from the polling location. And Roland, you don't even go inside of the double doors. You actually get to the voting location before you would get to the office windows. So that's pretty much far away. And Vickers is essentially the same. There's an entrance just on the other side of the front desk where the voters go in and they vote, and they exit through that same side, so they won't even go through that second layer of secure doors.
Gotcha.
Very good. Let's hear from anyone from the public who wish to speak to this. I know we have both our Republican and Democrat Party chairs here, but in whatever order y'all want to come up. Ma'am, you're standing, come on up. If you just give us your name for the record and what feedback you may have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Sherry Hathaway. I'm the work for VISD. I'm the chief bond manager, but also I wear the hat of safety and security, and I have for at least the past 6 or 7 years, and work with our principals very closely on these polling sites. And to be assured, in the past 6 or 7 years, to my knowledge, we have never had any situation where a student has come in close contact with a voter where there's been an issue. We work with principals very carefully before every election to make sure that the area that we've selected is safe, secure, and there will not be a crossover with kids and voters. We have either unarmed guards or armed or unarmed guards in that location to also help with security. But nothing is more important in the district than the safety and security of our kids. We take this very seriously, but at the polling sites that we have, we truly believe we have a secure situation, and we welcome our voters on our campuses.
It's good to know.
All right.
Well, we certainly
Thank you so much.
appreciate the feedback
Thank
there
you.
and for helping
Yes, ma'am.
facilitate this, Sherry. Thanks.
Judge, Bill Posey, Precinct 20. We had a precinct house years ago, and my wife wouldn't go into it because it was a scary house. So I go along with what Karen has to say about the houses not necessarily being good. But the schools now, correct me if I'm wrong, have been modified so the entrances and the exits into the schools have been improved for security. So I think it's a lot better than it was in the 2016 election. That Vickers School is completely open. Now it's gated to where you go in, you're fed into stuff, and you don't go into the actual school. So I think we've made a lot of progress there, Judge
Okay.
and Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Poe.
Thank you, Mr. Posey.
Yes, ma'am, come on up. Thanks for your patience.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm Rebecca Bootson again. And I'm glad to hear about the voting locations remaining for the most part as they are for the November election, because I think it might be difficult for people to make a switch that soon to different polling locations. But just wanted to say a couple of reasons why I do like the polling locations at the schools. One is, as people have talked about, the parents and community are already familiar with these locations. They take their kids to school, pick them up, grandparents may come over, and they're just very convenient for everyone to vote. The voter turnout is already pretty low in Victoria, and I'm just kind of worried about changing locations if that might make the problem worse. And then I do feel the school campuses provide a lot of security, including the secure entryways and the security officers that are on board there. Just full disclosure, I work at De Leon Elementary as a part-time teacher, and I also helped with the 2024 election there. And just to give you a real picture of what it was like, our school principal, she's great. She brought out a table and set it up in front of the school, the entryway, and she did some paperwork and things. She had music playing, so she was welcoming and greeting voters as they came up. So they had to go through her, and then the 2 security doors and the security officer. So of course, I feel security is super important for our kids, and it is a difficult time right now. I'm glad to hear that some of the polling locations will remain as they are. So,
Very good.
thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Mr. Shockley, come on up, sir.
I hate to see any schools closed and where voting's not going to take place. I voted at Allo for years and years, and believe me, there's a lot of difference between the Allo parking lot and parking in front of the volunteer fire department. There's about 5 or 6 spaces, and what if we get a call? What if they have to respond to an emergency? Like the representative from VISD said, they have security matters in hand. They always have. There has never been an instance. And yes, child safety is an absolute priority for everyone here. But why can't you get the sheriff's office involved? I believe that's what they're there for. And in addition to the security assets that VISD puts in place, that to me seems like a whole lot more common sense approach than wiping out a bunch of voting places that people have used for generations. And we're concerned with voter turnout, of course. And then how is that going to impact it? I don't believe it'll be a negative impact. It's going to affect people because that place that they've gone for years is no longer available. And then the other thought on this, which I have heard no mention of, and that is the polling that took place at both high schools. I have heard no mention of that. Was that only to push through a bond that VISD wanted? No mention of that, whether or not that's going to continue, whether or not that's going to be available. It makes me wonder, what's the situation on that? Again, or was that only to get the bond through by 100 and something votes? Makes me wonder. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Well, Bethany, welcome.
Morning, Bethany. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Always nervous. I'm here
You are.
today as,
Settle down. It's all good.
as a mom. So first, I just want to start and say I respect you all so much for the difficult position that you have to make really hard choices. That y'all are businessmen, you own your own companies, you're engineers, and so y'all have to look at the bottom line. Y'all are trained to do that. But some of these issues are so much more nuanced than that. And so today I just come to talk a little bit about that nuance. Changing more polling, and remember more, because we did just close some polling locations on the south side recently, right? We can't forget that. Changing more polling locations on the south side is harmful. Voting and being able to vote is the ultimate American freedom. Closing more polling sites within and across the south and south central areas of Victoria further constrict that freedom. The data shows that these areas are much poorer and much more isolated due to transportation and connectivity issues than other areas of town. Removing and reducing established polling locations from these areas will strangle and confuse local voters and their access to vote. It's not as simple as telling people just go to that next place, find it. Some folks don't have GPS on their phone. I'm telling you, these are my neighbors. We share garden vegetables. We take each other's trash cans in when we're on vacation. It's not that easy. It sounds like it is, but it's not. Further, again, here is a mom talking about safety at schools. I vote at the Hopkins Elementary. My girls leave every single morning. A piece of my heart walks out the door and goes into Hopkins Elementary. And I have a lot more stress on field day or graduation day or meet the teacher night than voting day. Whenever there's voting day, I'm not worried about strangers walking into the school because they handle it so well. The schools handle it so well. The county folks that handle elections do such a wonderful job setting up polling places. Instead, I'm really happy and my heart is really joyful on election day because my girls get to watch adults go and vote for what's best for their community. And we get to have conversations about that. Further, as a former public school teacher, I 100% applaud the location of polling places on school sites. I never had the opportunity when I was taught in San Antonio or in Karn City. Many times I'm so embarrassed to say I missed voting because I worked so late. I was a coach, I was a teacher, I was getting lesson plans ready, and I would look at the clock and think, oh crap, the polls have closed now. And I didn't have an opportunity to vote. And so I think that it's wonderful. And like the gentleman before me mentioned, I think let's open up some high school polling places because what a better way to show those 18-year-olds we actually care that you get to vote than having those sites on the school grounds. And telling a teacher that you can take off to go vote is a total joke. It is much easier just to be there than to make a sub-plan. I know this isn't intentional, but there are persistent feelings among affected residents on the South Side that they're always on the chopping block. Persistent feelings. If this is about school safety, and I hate to say this, but let's close all the school locations. Doing this and making this action is not going to cause the total neglect of the South Side. That's absurd. But I will tell you as a resident, it is one more step down a path, whether it's intentional or not, that shows South Side residents that resources for them are expendable. It's a business decision. I understand that. But sometimes things are much more nuanced than that. And we have to look at access. We have to look at what example we're setting for people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Appreciate that. What other comments may we have this morning? Good morning, Jewel.
Good morning. Gosh, Bethany said she was nervous, but man, I wish I was going to speak her as she is. So my apologies for being late. I've been in the hospital taking care of a family member, and that's my job. But as a teacher, it's also my job to take care of those families. And I'm here today trying to take care of the families on the South Side, the families that vote at schools. Sorry, I have not had any sleep for 3 days. But this was important, so I wanted to be here. And please don't take my picture. So, sleeping in a recliner is not good. But anyway, I came here, I wrote the speech about patriotism because that's what this is about. It's about showing kids, my mom votes, my grandmother votes, my teacher votes. When those kiddos are getting dropped off and picked up and they see, vote here, or Michael Cloud, or Gina Hinojosa, they see all these signs and they're asking their parents, what does this mean? Who votes? What is voting for? Do I get to vote? Are you going to vote? All of these conversations are teachable moments. And no, I've totally lost my speech. I'm just talking to you from my heart. A few years ago, you guys closed 4 South Side locations. And nobody knew about it until it's after the fact. I mean, what's his name? Woodrow knew about it. Mr. Posey knew about it. But I was the secretary for the Democratic Party, and I didn't know about it until after it was already done. And once it was done, I was told it was because we didn't have enough election workers. So I went out and recruited election workers. I got like 20 new election workers. Then I was told, turnout. And I'm so thrilled that we hired Karen. She is on it. She is looking at the rules, the regulations. She's making sure that everything is great. But she's just new here and doesn't really realize our traffic patterns. And yeah, a place might be a mile down the road, but if you've been voting at Hopkins and all of a sudden you've got to go to the VFW, you're not going to make that trip. Why not let the voters from Hopkins, when that school is rebuilt, vote at the new Hopkins? O'Connor's going to be merged into Torres. Why not, when that happens, let those voters follow their children? As several people have said, and as I realize as a teacher who's substituted and taught on many campuses, school voting is safe. I mean, I was an aide at Roland this year, and I've been the librarian there before. When you are not a full-time employee, you don't get a key to everything. You get a badge, but it doesn't open everything. So when I walk the kids out to PE, that's a separate building. If I don't watch that door and make sure it doesn't close, I'm locked out, and I work there. I have to go all the way around to the front. And that's what we've implemented in our schools. All of those exterior doors are closed. You know, nobody's coming into any place that isn't monitored by the secretaries, the security. It's safe. Ms. Hathaway came here and spoke. So let me jump around a little bit more about, yes, I visited with Karen and let her know how I feel. So, I really appreciate this back and forth where we all get to talk about this, because this affects our community. This is our one chance for everybody to get to voice their vote on the community they want to live in. You know, when they vote for you guys, when they vote for president. And if we keep moving the cheese and the maize to, we're going to vote here, no, we're closing that, we're going to move there, fewer and fewer people are going to vote. And on the south side, the Hopkins, the Patty Welder, those people, they already feel disenfranchised by, you know, the elected people, the rich people, the whatever. They already feel like their vote doesn't count. So if we move those places again, the chances of getting those people re-energized or even caring, it's dying. So I'm sorry to be so melodramatic, but it's just something I'm really passionate about. I would like our voting turnout to be in the 80s, and that like 80% or 100%. But if we keep moving those polling places, it's going to drop from 60 to 40 to 30 to where, you know, just a handful of people are making the decisions for everybody else. So I was registering voters last month at a school supply event. So these were mainly lower income families. And as they register, we always reach out. Would you like us to text you about early voting and polling locations? And they all said yes, every single time. And when we talked about polling locations, we said that there's a potential that they might move. And a lot of those people went to Hopkins. I didn't realize that Bethany's kids went to Hopkins. And they couldn't understand why. They were like, it's fine, it's safe. One of them was a staff member, and she said, this really helps me because I can vote at work. When I worked at Roland, I voted there. So it's a lot of information. I've talked to school board members. They want polling in schools because they believe it's a great teachable moment. It's great for their families. It's great for their communities. And I mean, I've got gobs of words here, but lastly, what I want to say is the man that mentioned opening East and West for the bond. When we were in the committee hiring our new EA, it was brought up that there were some people fussing about opening East and West. So because they thought, oh, they just, you know, want more people to vote for the bond. VISD knew that the more people, the more places you have to vote, the better your voter turnout. VISD knew that voting in schools was safe, and that's why they wanted more polling places open. They've asked for that before, too. They asked for it, I believe, in 2020. So the schools are great with it. Most families are great with it. And the funny thing is, the lady who complained at De Leon, her school is still going to be a polling place. So everybody else is going to have the ripple effect that she caused. So I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to leave my speech, but I'm sure I'll think of other things. Oh, last thing. The great thing that Karen mentioned was balancing of polling locations, where Mr. Martin doesn't have enough. He has to have one more polling place to balance out Precinct 4. So instead of cutting Precinct 4's polling location at Smith, because they had 1,808 voters at that school in the presidential election. That is not small potatoes for Victoria. Instead of closing that elementary school and making them go someplace that they're not used to going, let's give Commissioner Martin's voters another place to vote. I don't know if you guys are all aware, but we have a voting location.
About another minute.
Oh, okay, this is my last thing. We have a voting location on J2 Ranch Road, and I've been there because I put political signs up there. It is in the middle of absolute nowhere. That voting location is in a portable building with a portable potty, and those election judges have to stay there all day long. If we can do something like that for voters to election workers, I think we can find a portable building and a porta potty for Precinct 3. So. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You will appreciate that. Let's see. Who else would like to speak who has not spoken yet to this topic?
Judge, I would like to just follow up on Commissioner Martin's comments, if I could. It was not so long ago that there were more than twice the number of voting precincts in Precinct 3 as there are now. McFadden School was closed, it was consolidated with Kemper City, then that was closed, and it was consolidated with Allo. Ruby Deeble Ranch was closed as well. You leave Victoria, you head southward, there is virtually nowhere to vote between Allo School and the Refugio County line. And I commend Karen and Jared for their good faith efforts on this, and I would say we need to keep thinking and we need to keep looking for somewhere toward McFadden, Kemper City area where residents can vote. I see Heidi's eyes over there. Heidi, from Kemper City Road area, if you were driving to Allo School, about how long does it take you?
I'd say about 15 minutes,
Yeah.
sometimes 20, depending on traffic.
And if you're in that McFadden Ranch area, you're probably looking at more like 25 to 30 minutes to get to the nearest polling place.
That's correct, at least.
Well, I'm glad that we're having these discussions because I had proposed, because of the concern of having everyone that has access to the schools and where the children are, that we get out of the schools. But if VISD doesn't have a problem, I don't either.
Again, the purpose of this was so that everybody could put eyes on this proposal, talk about it, think about it, exchange ideas. I know these will be posted in the elections office and I guess on the website. Do you have extra copies there for the media who I'm sure would have an interest in that? What else germane to this topic do we need to discuss, Karen?
I would just like to say none of this is set in stone, except for I would like to remind the court that we do not have shields anymore. Despite everything that has been said today, that has to move to, and the Small Business Development Center there on Airline is a great location. We feel like that could be one of our larger locations once people know that that's available to them. And trust me, we had tried to add locations in Commissioner's Precinct 3. We looked at multiple locations, had lots of one-on-ones with people, and they just, at the end of the day, would not commit to allowing us into their location for various reasons. We are still open to adding a location in that area, but we just have not been able to locate one. So, and that, therefore, to come into compliance, we will have to close a location in Commissioner's Precinct 4 to come into compliance with the law.
Or add one.
Or add one in Precinct 3.
Yeah.
One of those two
Understood.
things has to happen.
Okay. Very good, very good.
All right?
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Well, thank you, Karen, Jared, and thank you, everybody who spoke to this item. Again, the plan is to adopt whatever version of this is going to be adopted next week on the 24th. That needs to be done as we prepare for the upcoming election. So that's the game plan. Anyone from the public who wants to review this, it'll be available at the elections office or online. And we'll have this as an action item next week. Any parting thoughts on this from the court or direction that we would like to see this go? I know Commissioner Martin, you've spoken to the need in your precinct for a big geographic area that really doesn't have a place. What other thoughts might there be?
Judge, for me, with Mr. Shakti's comments, if we're going to allow voting in schools, then we allow voting in schools. We can't pick and choose which ones we're going to close, especially, what we're doing according to what was presented to us, is you're cutting most of them out of the south side. So the whole idea that I had is we took voting out of schools and churches. And we're not doing that.
Other thoughts up here? Very good, very good. Well, we will move on in the agenda then. Appreciate, again, the good discussion on that. And we will move to item number 13. And that is to consider approval of Victoria County Clerk 2027 archival plan and take appropriate action. Hello, Heidi.
Good morning.
Morning, Heidi.
Good morning. Trying to decide whether to put the glasses on or off. Depends on how far I have to hold this out. This is the annual archive plan. We spoke about it last week in our budget meetings. This is required every year for the court's approval. It allows us to collect fees with the recording documents that protect and help us restore and archive our public records from the past. It's one of those things you can't move towards the future by erasing the past, and the best way not to erase it is for it to be preserved and protected. This is what this does, and we're getting closer to the end of one set of the projects, and we will be moving into another set in the next few years that will cover the items that are like loose leaf documents. In fact, today I had to pull a shuck out and look for a deed from 1848. I found it, but I'm going to talk to Jeff Wright about the best way for me to handle that. Maybe he's got some gloves, because there are certain things you have to do to prevent that from deteriorating. But just to let you know that people are still looking for documents that are that old and that should be preserved and available for the public to see. So I request that we approve, that y'all approve this archive plan for 2027.
Move for approval. Thank you.
Second.
It seems like we'd be past that by now, but
All right, did we have a second on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I second it.
All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Do agree.
All right, item 14 is to receive, we'll review and discuss, but also receive the no new revenue, de minimis, and voter approval tax rates. We, like every year, have to designate an individual to calculate those rates. That was the tax assessor collector again this year. And what we have to receive is a copy of that calculation. The last page shows the rates based on her calculation. Voter approval rate of 0.4456, de minimis rate of 0.3966, no new revenue rate 0.3790. And their copy of that will be put into the minutes for anybody to review or to have at their disposal.
Move to receive.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Aye.
approved. Item number 15 is to consider a request from the Victoria County Criminal District Attorney's Office for Victoria County Auditor's Office to conduct the fiscal year 26 audit under Article 5906, the Code of Criminal Procedure Asset Forfeiture Report. We have a memo from the DA requesting that. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 16 is to consider approval of resolution number 2026-084 for various monetary and material donations to the Victoria County Animal Services Department. This is what we discussed last week and now have on our agenda to formally receive. Crystal, anything additional we might need to know about this? Okay. Well, we extend our thanks to the generous folks who have donated supplies or money, and those who have volunteered and helped out in so many ways. That is much appreciated. And do we have a motion to approve item 16?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 17, consider the following in connection with the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Fiscal year 2025 Local Formula Award. A is approval of the award. B is to receive a CEO certification. C, receive an executed City of Victoria MOU. And D is to authorize the grant administrator to accept award in Just Grants. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. This is a formula grant that we are typically available to apply for annually. Does provide some much-needed equipment and/or services to both the Sheriff's Office and the Police Department. So the total amount for this fiscal year awarded is almost $23,000, which will be split between the two entities, and the county does manage the grant. So ear protective communication headsets for the Sheriff's Office and AEDs and accessories for the PD.
Very good.
No match. Sheriff's Office will pay about $230 in cost overruns for their.
Any questions for Robin on this? Do we have a motion to approve 17A through D?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thanks, Robin. Item 18 is to ratify a request for payment to GrantWorks in the amount of $6,960 in connection with the Texas Community Development Block Grant Award, and take appropriate action. You just thought you were done.
I did. I forgot about this one. The project that we're working on with the Bloomington Water Control and Improvement District for sewer improvements. This is GrantWorks portion of the administration. There are a lot of moving parts. They go out and they have to do interviews for grant compliance with all of the contractors, subcontractors, et cetera. So this is a portion of the funding for that.
Thank you, Robin. Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 19, consider approval of a consolidated professional service agreement with Elite Engineering in connection with the Regional Public Safety Center, and take appropriate action. Hello, Avery.
Morning, Avery.
Morning, Avery.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. As stated, this is a consolidated professional services agreement with Elite Engineering. This is essentially incorporating the additional 10.01 acres that was added to this project. This will include additional topography services, surveying, rework of previously agreed upon professional services documents relating to grading and drainage plans. Essentially, as the project has expanded, so too does the professional services dollar amount, that fee schedule. And so this is essentially incorporating an additional $46,000 for that expanded site design.
What's our timeline on that? What are we looking at to have that completed?
Yes, sir. So we have a portion of this already completed. The design phase may take an additional 3 to 4 months. We are in coordination with other vendors from other portions of the project and other grant-funded projects that will be incorporated with this phase of our PSTC improvements. That construction could take anywhere from 5 to 6 months to a year or more, just depending on the level of earthwork that's required, lead time on certain components, things of that nature. Upon execution of this agreement, we will go into formal site design. Elite Engineering is our civil site designer. The rest of the design components on the site will be in coordination with weekly design meetings, and we'll have a much better updated schedule for you, Judge, post-execution.
Very good. Any discussion on item 19? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 20 is to consider approval of request for plat exemption from Tyler Bohan with BRP Blue Topaz 2 LLC at 1514 Black Bayou Road in Precinct 1, and take appropriate action.
Yes, sir. This is a plat exemption for a proposed daughter tract of 15.621 acres out of a parent tract that is 48 acres in size. As all residual tracts created are going to be greater than 10 acres, that is the plat exemption that's being applied for. This particular property does have access to a public right-of-way. It is also a proposed battery energy storage facility It directly abuts the backside of AEP's substation that's directly off of Black Bayou number 1. We reviewed the application for plat exemption and find with the conditions specified that it is in accordance with being granted, and our office would recommend approval of this plat exemption.
Okay. Avery, are we still working on a road use agreement for this project?
Yes, sir, we are. That is separate from the plat exemption, but the haul route that was specified for the battery energy storage facility passes within the incorporated limits of the city of Bloomington. And so we are outside of our sole jurisdiction to be able to request a road use agreement, and we will need to work with the city of Bloomington officials in order to draft and then pass something like that.
Okay. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 21, receive for the record a fully executed temporary construction access agreement from Bradley Stevenson at 541 Old Bloomington Road in Precinct 1 in connection with a TxDOT bridge replacement project on Old Bloomington Road North.
Yes, sir. This is needed to relocate AEP distribution line that is opposite the road from transmission level voltage, also owned by AEP. It's necessary for the safety of the contractor to be able to swing a crane, to be able to place concrete beams for the bridge deck. This bridge on Old Bloomington Road North is critical for residents to be able to have multiple means of egress. They are currently bound by railroad track. So as cars stack up, they may not have egress through one or more portions of Old Bloomington Road North. So the bridge is being replaced as part of TxDOT CR 252 off-system bridge replacement project. This is one half of the temporary construction access easements needed for the county to go in and save about $15,000 in taxpayer funds by self-performing the clearing work and taking that from AEP. So this work will be in coordination with AEP. This is simply needed from one of the private property owners for us to be able to do our part.
Good work. Thank you, Avery. This is on Old Bloomington Road, which this portion of Old Bloomington Road happens to be in the Crescent Valley area.
Mm-hmm.
And so the folks that will be affected by that are the folks who live in Crescent Valley around the Old Bloomington Road. Okay. So I move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Avery.
Thank you, Avery.
Item 22 is to consider approval of payment application number 2 to Forney Construction LLC in the amount of $196,205.38 in connection with the Citizens Medical Center Intensive Care Unit parking lot project, and take appropriate action. Do we have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 23 is to consider approval of the following for the Victoria County Public Health Department. A, HIV Health and Social Services Grant Contract, as written in the agenda. And B, Avita Pharmacy Services Agreement, Fourth Amendment. Good morning, David.
Morning, David.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning.
So, Item A is going to be the new contract for FY 2027 for the state services grant. That's going to be level funding from last year, so no major changes there. And then item B is going to allow us to rely some additional 340B revenue on an additional prescription or a few other additional prescriptions that we weren't previously able to do that under that 340B medication program.
Okay. All right.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Item 24 is to consider approval of Resolution 2026-082 for a road donation from Francis P. Bannon III in the amount of $1,200 for the installation of a pipe culvert at 179 Sophie Ranch Road in Precinct 4.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 25 is to consider approval of the following detention and residential contracts for the Victoria Regional Juvenile Justice Center and take appropriate action. A, Leon County, B, Uvalde and Rio County, and C is the 36th Judicial District Juvenile Probation Department.
Move to approve A, B, and C.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 26 is to consider approval of personnel changes, if any, and take appropriate action. Included in there, what have we here? I think this is, includes a certification of Commissioner Sexton, and I know Commissioner Ort as well, being graduates of the V.G. Young Institute of County Government Commissioners Court Leadership Academy. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there was an animal services item in there as
Yeah,
well.
move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 27, receive for the record discretionary fund budget amendments, if any, and take appropriate action. There are some in there. Each of you have a copy in your agenda packets.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Did I skip an item?
Oh, you may have skipped 27. I
Oh,
think there's nothing in 27.
Okay.
there's nothing. in
I did
27.
skip 27 on accident. I guess there was nothing in
There
it,
was
so
nothing
we're good there.
so we'll move
Yeah.
on
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah,
Okay, but we
approve the
did
budget amendments.
vote and approve 28, which are the 2026 budget amendments. Okay. We do have listed here a closed session. However, it's looking like we will not need to address those closed session items this morning. They'll probably be moved to next week, which means we have conducted our business for today. Anything else for the good of the cause up here? All right, well, we will stand adjourned and see everybody back here next week. Thanks.